So hello everyone, it's the Cricket Connoisseur here and welcome to episode 10 of the TCC Talks podcast. Now today I'm joined by someone who'll be very familiar to any fans of the Otago Vaults out there. It is none other than rising star Dale Phillips. So first things first, Dale, thank you very much for coming onto the podcast today. How's your day been so far, mate?
Yeah, no worries. It's been good. Obviously, with New Zealand being COVID-free now, it's nice to get back into the nets and get some training done. So that was nice.
Yeah, making a lot of people around the world very jealous by saying that. But
Yeah,
that's good. Of course. So to kickstart this podcast, really, Dale, thought we'd start right from the beginning, okay? What's your first ever memory of cricket, either playing or watching the game?
Well, growing up, obviously, most people know my older brother Glenn. He was the one that started it for us. He, when he was young, he couldn't put down a cricket bat or cricket ball. So obviously, me being around him, all I ever saw him was with a cricket bat and cricket ball. So I was like, well, I kind of want to try that too. And then it kind of just started from there. I think I probably would have been like 4 or 5 probably when I first started, and then it kind of just kicked off from there.
Well, yeah, that's a very young age. You were in New Zealand at that point, weren't you? Because you were originally born in South Africa.
Yeah, so my family moved here to New Zealand in 2002, I think. So I would have been 3.5, and then so I don't really have too many memories of South Africa. I'm pretty much born and bred New Zealand, although I still support South Africa where I can. But yeah, so most of the cricketing journey's been done in New Zealand.
Yeah, fair enough. So you talk about this being in New Zealand. Who really influenced your early cricketing days? Were there any New Zealand Black Caps cricketers who really influenced your early days?
I don't know about Black Caps too much. I still kind of go off the original South African cricketers. Growing up, I was always a big Jack Callis fan, and then once he kind of moved on, it kind of evolved to AB. You know, quite an obvious one there. But I mean, I've played alongside as I've got a bit older with club cricket and whatnot, playing alongside players such as Colin Munro and Martin Guptill and whatnot. They kind of have a great influence on the way they play the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, great choices, by the way. Jacques Callis, A.B. de Villiers, I mean, massive names. Huge names. Callis, in my opinion, is the best all-rounder I've ever seen, so that's a wonderful choice. Yeah, legend. Hopefully you can follow in the footsteps.
It was always my dream to be as good as him.
Hey, could still be realised, only 21. Okay, could still happen. But yeah, you mentioned that Glenn was always with the cricket ball and stuff. How big of an influence was Glenn on creating you as a cricket player? How much of an influence has he had on your cricketing journey?
He's probably had one of the biggest influences of all people, really. I mean, he always had this like drive when we were younger to just, all he wanted to do was go to the nets after school. We would sit and wait by the window for my dad to come home from work so he could take us to the nets. And because that's what he was doing, I kind of wanted to do it too. Being the bigger brother, I kind of just wanted to be like him. And then as we kind of got older, he excelled quite well. And then as he gained more experience, he was able to transfer that experience to me. I mean, even now, even though we live in different districts now, we're always on WhatsApp, just messaging each other. He's messaging me, "Oh, just keep doing this, keep doing that." So I mean, he's always in touch with me, and I think that's what's great about it is he doesn't care so much about. It's not all about him. He's willing to help me and take time into me as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's had a stratospheric rise, hasn't he, realistically,
Yeah.
since the Under-19 World Cup. I mean, he's been performing all over the world, really. But yeah, talking of the Under-19 World Cup, you two appeared at the same World Cup in 2016 in Bangladesh. How did that make you feel to represent your country alongside your brother? Only the 4th Kiwi pair to do that. How special was that moment?
Oh, it was surreal. I mean, I was one of those younger players selected for that 2016 World Cup. So I mean, it was a bit of a surprise for me already in there, and then just knowing that I was going to be able to play alongside him was just an awesome feeling. Knowing it was for a country. I mean, yeah, like you said, not many siblings are able to say that they've done that. So I mean, even if all else failed in cricket for me, at least I was going to have that memory to keep, which is quite nice.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, as I mentioned, the 4th behind the Marshalls, the McCullums, 2 huge names, and the Bracewells as well. I mean, yeah, if you two could get in their footsteps, not going to have bad cricket careers at all. But yeah, talking of that under-19 World Cup, did you know you're I believe you're the 8th leading run scorer for New Zealand in under-19 cricket?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you're up 276 runs for
Oh,
Black Caps
nice.
under-19. What would you say was your highlight of those two under-19 World Cups? Because obviously you played in 2018 as well in New
Yeah.
Zealand. What was your real highlight of those two tournaments?
I think the first one was a real learning curve for me. Being first tour away from home, or big tour away from home, really getting to know how to survive on a tour. But basically, I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes health wise and whatnot that probably impacted my cricket, which I learned for the second one. But I mean, being able to play at home in front of family and friends on that stage was quite a cool feeling. I mean, both World Cups I played against South Africa as well, and I probably enjoyed that quite a bit. So yeah, probably would be that.
Well, yeah, talking of South Africa, that's where your high score came from, wasn't it? 74 in the Super League semi-finals.
Yeah, it was. That was quite a wasn't the I don't know if it was the most memorable game out of all of them, but obviously that was my top score. It's probably the most opportunity I had to actually have spend time at the crease. Being the role I was playing in the team was more of a kind of stabilizer and finisher. So it was nice to be able to get a little bit of opportunity to actually spend time at the crease. Unfortunately, we couldn't take that game home, but that's how it goes.
Well, yeah, that's cricket, innit, at the end of the day. Not
Yeah.
everyone can win. Well, it's sport. But yeah, talking of that 74, I've watched that. I remember watching some of that. You have a very classical technique compared to Glenn. Glenn's very much more like the Maverick Dasher kind of player. What makes you play in that style? What was it that really influenced that?
I mean, it's probably from watching a lot of players like Jacques Callis growing up. I mean, that's kind of all I ever saw. I mean, we're between me and Glenn, we're similar, but I like to be more like moderate in my gameplay as opposed to him. Like you say, he just pretty much goes balls to the wall, all out from ball one, whereas I like to build into it, ease into it. I mean, I'm not sure where it came from. I guess that's just probably highly from my coach when I was, I don't know, 10 to 15, was Deepak Patel. I don't know if you know him, but he was probably the one that molded my technique the most growing up, and I think I've just kind of stuck with that throughout growing up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's paying off. As I said, you've got a very nice technique. I must admit that. It's very nice. It's very fluid. But yeah, what lessons would you say you took away most from those two under-19 World Cups? What was the one thing you really took away from those tournaments?
One of the biggest learnings for me was the importance of team culture and interacting with the team. From the 2016 one, I kind of isolated myself. I just stayed in my hotel room. I ordered room service. I never left my room. I was just watching movies, and I never wasn't able to build the connection with the rest of the team, which then you take onto the field. So I think that's probably a big one for me, which is I've been able to take moving forward, especially now moving into a new district of Otago. It was a learning that actually I needed to know. Another one would probably be the importance of healthy eating when you're on tour. When you start eating bad, you start getting tired, you don't perform well, you don't want to train. So that's probably the two biggest learnings for me.
What was it that was particular and healthy that you had on tour?
Oh, just when you're at hotels, you get all the nice buffet breakfast, the pancakes, the who knows what else. And I was just going all out with that, just sugar, sugar, sugar. I got a slap on the wrist a few times from the physio, but you learn, you live and you learn.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're only a young player anyway. I mean, you're
Yeah.
bound to make some mistakes back then anyway. But yeah, you mentioned just then briefly you have made the move to the Vaults, and for someone who's
Yeah.
played cricket pretty much entirely in Auckland, how big of a change was that for you? How did you transition?
Yeah, it was quite a big transition. Obviously, pretty much going from almost as far north in the districts as they come to as far south as they go. Probably the biggest change was adjusting to the cold. I think in Auckland, it's very warm compared to down here where we're hitting more colder temperatures. But it was really easy to fit into the team. The team was really welcoming. They're a good bunch of guys, and they kind of welcome me in with open arms, which was really helpful.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, it is quite a cold part of Otago, or is it Otago? But yeah, lovely part of the world though. Really, really lovely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very. It's the Fjordland, isn't it? Fjordlands.
Maybe. I wouldn't know, but I mean, it's kind of almost in Auckland. Like people from Auckland seem to look down on Otago, and I always had that mentality: Otago is going to be this small, isolated place. But then when I moved here, I was like, I don't think I ever want to go back.
Really?
Yeah, like it's just a different community down here. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
Wow. What's your favourite ground? Because the Volts play at 4, don't they? What's your favourite of the 4 grounds?
Obviously, I mean, playing at a place like Queenstown is
beautiful. Yeah.
With the background, the scene drop, it's a beautiful place to play. But obviously, it's small. You don't get that crowd buzz or anything like that. I mean, for us, we probably get our biggest crowds when we play in Alex.
Molyneux Park.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean that the atmosphere there is probably the best of the grounds. But then I mean for me, moving to a new place, I think I quite enjoy just playing in the Uni Oval, just because that's where home is.
Well, yeah. But talking of New Zealand stadiums, what's your favourite one in the entirety of the country?
I think for me, probably Bay Oval will probably be my
nice choice.
Be up there with my favourite. Probably the one I've played the most at as well. Between Bay Oval and Hagley, probably is the 2 I've played the most at. I mean, the Basin's obviously a lovely place to play as well, but the weather there makes it.
Yeah, cheeky Firebirds plug there, but yeah.
No, the weather makes it a bit tough sometimes, but so I'd probably go with Bay Oval as my pick there.
Yeah, beautiful ground. England played there in the last tour. What a ground that is in Mount Maunganui. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of New Zealand, let's say you go on to play for the Black Caps. Where would you ideally want to make your debut?
That's a tough one. There's so many nice places out there. I mean, obviously everyone's dream is to play at Lords or a place like that. So probably be there, or potentially the Wanderers in South Africa.
Yeah,
would be a nice place to play as well. But I mean, I don't think I'd be too fussy making a debut anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, good attitude, to be honest. But yeah, obviously, well, now you've moved into professional cricket. What would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned from that step up? Because beforehand you were playing like the under-19s, under-17s cricket. What's the biggest difference between those age group cricket and professional cricket with the Volts?
Obviously, the standard of cricket is a lot higher, which kind of emphasises the fact that as a batter you fail a lot more than you succeed. And probably the biggest thing is finding ways to deal with that and stay at the top of your game without you don't want to be rising up and down too much. You kind of want to flatline and stay the same with your mental state. That's probably the most important thing, as opposed to technical aspects, which can be improved, tweaked, or whatever. But probably being strong mentally is the toughest one. I know a lot of people that have struggled because they weren't able to cope with the highs and lows that come with professional cricket.
And how do you deal with that personally? Is there anything either in cricket or outside of the game that you kind of draw upon to maintain that even keel?
I think it's obviously one of the good things, or a key thing, would probably be to have a mentor. I know a lot of people, or someone to talk to when things are going well or when things are going bad. They just kind of have a level head, a different perspective. For me, it's probably with being an isolated kind of person. I just like to, if I have a bad day or whatever, I just go home and I'll just find another zone to get in, whether it's on the PlayStation or watching a movie or something, and then that way I don't think about it. But it's when you dwell on it too much, that's when you start to feel bad about it.
What's the go-to game on the PlayStation?
It always used to be FIFA, and then I kind of figured out ways to clock the game too much, so I kind of moved on to played a bit of Fortnite for a while, and then and then lately I've been playing a bit of NBA, so kind of rotate between games just however feels fit.
Nice. Who'd you play as? I'm guessing that's NBA 2K.
Yeah.
Who'd you play as?
Oh, at the moment I've been playing with the Chicago Bulls, but trying to, after watching the old
The Last
Michael
Dance,
Jordan doco, yeah, couldn't help myself.
Yeah, they're a different team since then. Let me just tell you that. Yeah, but yeah, that's a good way. That's a really good way of dealing with it. Obviously, it's good to see that you have got these coping strategies. But yeah, realistically, how would you, I don't know, advise youngsters to kind of deal with that? Because obviously you've got your set strategy. What would you give to young cricketers who maybe haven't experienced that mental, well, even stress really at this time? What advice would you give them who are just entering the professional game?
Probably to experiment with things. Obviously, I mean, it doesn't have to be any one specific thing. It could be it could be shopping. It could be whatever it is that takes your mind off it. Or some people might want to go just hit bombs on the bowling machine. Just to release some anger or whatever it is. Just experiment with it and find what makes you tick, and what makes you feel better and helps you get over it faster. Probably a helpful one would be keep a notebook. I think that's a big one for me. Is whether you have a good day or bad day, you write it in your notebook. You write what you did well, what you did bad, and then when you write it, it's almost like letting it go. And then if you do need to look back on it at some point, you look back and say, "Oh, that's why I did bad," and then you can, know what to do the next time.
Yeah, I think that's really good. You've obviously got a wise head on those shoulders, Dale. Yeah, great advice. It really is good advice. As you said, you can't bottle it up. That's the key thing now.
Yeah.
We, in this era, we keep on talking about, we need to talk about these things. I mean, that's a great way of releasing it, definitely. And yeah, sound advice for any young cricketers out there who maybe aren't finding the game of cricket really easy at the moment. But yeah, aside from that, I know you just mentioned the bowling machine. You've had a bit of an experiment with your bowling, haven't you? With regards to the seam.
Yeah. Well, for me as a bowler, being small and not as fast, I kind of have to find ways to be useful in other ways. I'm not going to out express pace someone or bounce someone out. So for me, it's more important to figure out a way to use the seam presentation, be able to swing the ball both ways. It's more about being smart with how I'm bowling as opposed to out bowling someone with pace or bounce or any of that stuff. I haven't got there yet, but something I'm working on. So hopefully we'll get there soon.
What made you want to do that though? Because obviously you're a wonderful batsman. What was the kind of thing that made you go, right, okay, I want to try some seam bowling?
I guess growing up in New Zealand, I don't know how they do it around the world, but you kind of have to do both as a youngster. Or I mean, sometimes they even make you learn wicket keeping as well. Just they want to keep your options open if you're not good at one thing. It's almost a given here. Like what they try to say is that you have to be good at two skills to make it in cricket. So whether it's batting and fielding, or batting and bowling, or batting and wicket keeping, or whatever it is, you have to be good at least two. You can't just have one. And so I guess I never used to be as small. I guess I just stopped growing at some point, but and then I kind of just started bowling, and I guess I just stuck with it. And then it kind of just, as the batters got better, I kind of had to figure out ways to get better too.
What's your go-to delivery then? Let's say, I don't know, you've got a pretty set batsman, he's approaching his 50. What's your go-to delivery to try and at least stop him from reaching that?
Probably my go-to safe option would be be a Yorker probably. Seems to be the one that I'm most consistent with. It's kind of a get out of jail for me. As opposed to, if someone's set and I start bowling slow balls, it's a high chance that they're gonna pick it up quite quickly. But I guess for me, I just have to try and change it up every ball. If I bowl 3 balls in the same in a row, one of them's gonna go. So I kind of have to figure out a way to bowl 6 different balls accurately, I guess.
Yeah, when you mentioned 3 balls in a row, I'm getting flashbacks to Ben Stokes in the 2016 T20 World Cup. Yeah, oof, goodness me. I mean, at least he redeemed himself, but
yeah, he's done well since then.
But as you mentioned, you can't be predictable. I think that's the point we're getting at.
Yeah.
But talking of Ben Stokes and obviously international cricket now, what would you like to achieve in the range of your cricket career? I'm guessing a Black Caps debut at some point is on the cards. What would you like to achieve, Dale?
Obviously that's the ultimate goal, is to play professionally for your country, represent the country. I mean, whatever form that takes, I wouldn't be complaining about it. It's obviously a big process and journey to get there. But I mean, being able to just represent, put the badge on, do the family proud and whatnot is just where you want to be, I guess, as any young professional sportsman wants to achieve that, I guess.
Talking about have you actually felt any additional pressure? Because obviously Glenn has debuted now has he done all 3 formats? He's at least done T20 and tests. Have you felt any pressure about that?
I'm not sure if he's done one day or not. Not really. I think obviously a lot of the chat I get is about living in his shadow and all that kind of jazz. But I've been getting that since I was younger anyway, so it's I'm kind of used to it. It's more like, he got there at a young age, but not necessarily mean that I won't get there or that I have to get there at the exact same age. It's kind of, I guess, every player is different. Every player has their time, and if you rush your time or you try to get there sooner than you're ready, then you're ultimately going to crash and burn when you get there. So I think making sure that I'm actually ready to be there is probably a big important one for me, instead of trying to rush and just outdo what he did.
I really like that mentality. I really do. That's a very good mentality, and I wish you the best with it. I really do. But if you could debut for the Black Caps, which format would be your ideal one?
I think, I mean, obviously, I'm still very traditional with the changes becoming more T20 and one-day based. I think the ultimate goal is to be playing Test cricket, red ball cricket. Obviously, it's the toughest of the 3. But I mean, I think that's like the peak that I want to get to. Whether that comes first or last probably doesn't matter too much, but that's where I want to be. I think, I mean, excitement wise, probably T20s would be the easiest or the most enjoyable one to get in. It's nice and fast. You don't have too much time to think about it, which is probably be helpful on a debut, probably.
Yeah, Glenn made his debut in a T20 as well. Lots of players are nowadays, aren't they? It's a logical stepping stone for the younger players in particular. But if you could also, who would you want it to be against? Who would be your ideal opposition?
I mean, as much as you want to play against the best in the world, probably after watching, especially what happened to Glenn on his debut, he played against South Africa. That was his debut, and he just had no clue what was going on. It probably would be nice to debut against a smaller country, at least stand a chance, or get a way to get the nerves out the way first before coming up against the very best in the world. But I mean, yeah.
So you don't fancy taking on Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc on debut then?
Oh yeah, that would be a tough one, I think.
Well, yeah, if you get through it though, got a bright future ahead of you.
It'll be great memories if you do.
Yeah, 100%. Talking of bowlers, who's been the toughest bowler you've faced so far in your career?
That's a tough. I mean, for me, I like pace on the ball. So anything, the more pace bowlers, I actually enjoy facing them. Although obviously some of them are highly skilled. I mean, probably the ones that get me into the trouble the most are the Chinamans.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of them around, so when they come about, they kind of catch you by surprise. We're quite lucky to have Michael Rippon in our team now, so
Yeah.
he gives a bit of practice for that. But the toughest, actually not sure about that really. I reckon one of the toughest bowlers I've actually had to face would be Naoma Barnett from Central Districts, just because he just bowls slow knuckleballs
Yeah.
every ball, and you got no pace to work with, and he hits the same spot every ball, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I've seen Kieran for Gloucestershire. He played for them, I think 2018 it was, 2017, 18.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah, he's just that consistent, taking pace off the ball. I mean, yeah, wouldn't be very fun to face, to be honest.
I don't think he bowls a ball over 100 Ks, to be honest.
Yeah, doesn't really look like it on TV either. But yeah, just to kind of wrap this up, Dale, I think you've been a wonderful guest. Okay, I'm going to leave you with one final question. Okay, if you couldn't be a cricketer, what profession would you have gone into?
Well, at the moment, I'm currently studying law, so that's probably, I don't know whether I'll be a lawyer or not, but that's kind of the road I'm taking. So that's kind of the plan B to cricket. But we'll see where that takes me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good to have a fallback option, though. But obviously, I wish you the best with New Zealand. I want to see you and Glenn. That'd be amazing. That really would be
Yeah, that would be
amazing. Be
awesome.
like the McCullums in the future. But
Yeah, that would be cool.
yeah, that's pretty much wraps up the podcast, really, Dale. Have you got any final words just to mention, anything to plug?
Well, I think just for young cricketers out there, just keep aspiring to be great. Don't let the bad times get you down. I mean, one of the biggest things we said around under-19 World Cup is if you don't get picked, that's not the end of your career. You look at half the Black Caps team right now probably didn't play under-19 cricket, and that's just the fact of it. So when you don't get selected for teams, don't get your head down, because some people peak early and some people peak later. As long as you keep working hard, that's the most important thing.
Great advice. Fantastic. And as I mentioned, Dale, you've been an absolutely wonderful guest. It's been a privilege talking to you today. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the podcast. To all of those who've listened,
Awesome.
Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.